He's starting to dig. He's scared. Get these things out of the way. Here we go. Australian spiny anteater. Isn't that right, Diddums? Oh, he didn't like it. Funny thing is, if I sit this close for 10 minutes, then he'll come right out and he'll walk straight past me, most likely. He's breaking the old spine on the back there. Now you see that fur they got there? You can't shoot its quills or nothing, so don't worry. The fur it's got there, it's actually got on its belly, but with no spikes on its belly. And it's actually like dog fur. And the quills are white with black tips on them. If we sit quietly enough, he'll actually come out, let's believe it or not. How's this? This is my bottom paddock. That there, all this in the front here, right across here, right at it, all wild oats, all this stuff. These are actually edible, believe it or not. Well, you should believe it because they are actual oats. Get 2 seeds there, at least one big one and one small one. So the sheep will be getting into, how's this for cutting something down? Created a whole new burn heap. In the space of about 8 minutes. And had to have a refuel and a changeover, and yeah, nice logs come out of that. Another one there, another one down there. A little cutaway here. The size of that. There. It's like blooming half the size of a coffee table cut off there. Let's to get the new fence through. Hang on. There's also another small peppercorn we had to chop out. I won't bother showing that. That was a blooming 3 slices that it fell out the way, but it seems we didn't quite get them all the first time around to get a perfect clear line between the strainer post here and the strainer post up the top. So what we've got going on here, wire strainer on the bottom to this bit of wire wrapped around this. Same again here, bit there wrapped around, and this is clamped with bolts, 2 bits of wood, and these clamped into the good wire. And you basically tension this bit that's tied on the top, and the same again tied on the bottom, with one wire strainer that we bought more recently, the other one that my uncle borrowed 10 years ago and then we found in his house. And then, yeah, when such a point as this is nice and tight, we've got the gripples there so it doesn't slip backwards. These are things that only let it go one way. At the end of the day we end up cutting this wire, but only after we've got this bit here attached around there, and there's your post. It's your main post. It's in pretty deep, and this has got what's called a stay. There's a little bolt, I think, like one of them basically, coaching bolt or something in there, and the pipe slipped over that back down to a rock, and then you've got wire there tensioning along the bottom there. There's several layers of it, which has got another little gripple like one of them down there, and then tied around. Alrighty, this is, oh shit, I don't fall down the damn bank. This is the bottom pond. We call it a dam instead of a pond in Australia. They're all called dams, regardless of the fact it's not a weir on a river. But These little things here. Love a little thing. Michael planted some of those when he was a kid, like about, I don't know, 10, 11, 12 years old. Oh, it'd be lovely if we get these grown and think, oh, blimey, taken over. They used to be all over the side that I'm walking on now. I think they're more on this side. Anyway, and now they're gone this side or something. There's no shortage of them. Mr. Foxy's been down here getting a drink. Few crickets here. Yeah, this would be a hell of a lot fuller if, oh yeah, in a minute. There's my trees out on the point. You can just, there's two little spikes there. That's some of my trees. That one's right there. Yeah, this is usually a lot fuller, but the winter we had not much water at all, to be quite honest. You may see, yeah, you probably can't see it. There's a lot of movement on the surface. Most of it's actually diving beetles and stuff like that. I think if these are actually a decent size, any of the ones we owned. I mean, mine's the biggest, right up the top, that I don't often show, but even that's not big enough to be deep enough for trout in the summer. It also has no shade over the water, so although we've got plenty of diving beetles and theoretically it'd be great for trout, we don't sort of have deep enough water with any shade, which is what you need for the trout to survive during the hotter times of the year in this area. I went to a show and talked to some trout experts about it all, so yeah. This is also where the wild bees were. A second here, we'll just walk through some grass. Where the wild bees had that nest I was talking about, foraging for honey. And the tree is only about 10 yards away from me now. We'll just get down here. Here's some of the wire that he's taken down. I didn't know how much he'd actually got down. That's not a massive amount. Not much at all, really. And there's a tree there. I don't think they're in there anymore, but that had honey in it, and I could see the flipping honeycomb and everything. Yeah. Got an old rigid edge fence and just tie it straight around the tree, eh? There's a couple of old fence posts and random crap. Some of this stuff down here, you got to have a look at this. This is, we used to use this for the first couple of years. Now we've basically abandoned it. Although it does have a rather good concrete ramp. Makes it useful for trucks. This is one my uncle patched up. You guessed it. Palletwood all the way. Even this is a pallet. Oh, God. They could have called this the sheep yards that Troy built. I think here's another pallet. And, well, you know, last time we were in here, dealing with sheep, you know, these were sort of not much better than they are now. And, yeah, well, it wasn't too good. And the decision was made to make another one because the sods, every time you'd herd them down, they'd make a point of trying to run up the hill and get away from you. And, well, now we either get them in the front paddock or herd them up and they make a point of running down the hill. So it even had a few pellets to hold off this box thorn, which is, yeah, too big now. There's some of the other bits and pieces. I know what you're thinking, and I've got better things to do than come down here and scrap metal this and put it in a big pile and burn it, and quite honestly, it's not even mine, so it might also not be my problem. Another pallet. God blimey. And where you got no decent fencing, you can always just whack a bit of sheet metal in. Or a bit of steel off of what was probably the remains of my veranda at the side, out the front of my bedroom. Like I used to have a saying, there's nothing you can't fix with a bit of number 8 wire. And a bunch of pellets too, I think. Alrighty, I got a lot of the bottom part of the fence done. And just decided to go for a little drive ski to actually have a bit of a relaxing Sunday. And then in these areas here where they camp near the river. They're not actually supposed to camp in this particular part, in the other part they are. Yeah, I'll show you what they've done to get in here in a second, but it appears that my air conditioner in my car is just about stuffed. I mean, we're hitting around 88, 90 degrees Fahrenheit, you know, around the 30 degrees Celsius mark, and I had it going absolutely flat knacker on the lowest temperature, and it was no better than a desk fan. For the last year and a half, 2 years, I've been hearing the bearings whirring and whining away, and I knew it was going to give out at some point, and of course the bearings have now got loose enough and rough enough that the O-ring seals, or whatever they are, the seals for the refrigerant gas have let go, and it's no longer got any gas. Right about the same week I'm out of a job, but I have been talking to the Chinese boss on the phone this morning, and yeah, it looks like there's a reasonable chance. We're really not too sure, but I'll be meeting his brother-in-law, and he says, look, with a bit of luck you'll get in there as a labourer, and if you want of your own accord, you may be able to work your way up to supervisor for the fact that you've sort of had a business before. It'll be not a very long business, but he reckons I could actually act as a supervisor if I wanted to. And this is how they got in this camping area. Big sign here, keep out, blah blah, management vehicles and walkers only, in other words, government vehicles. So, well, they just cut it off with a chainsaw and then opened it up, didn't they? That sort of worked pretty good. I also scored myself another LED torch down here. I got one once before, and I was going to use it, and I sat it in my car for 9 months and only used it about 5 or 6 times. And, well, when I did finally go to use it after about those 9 months, so I got a couple of weeks, you know, a week or two use out of it. If that, I only used it, probably realistically only about a week. And the battery died because it's been sitting in a hot car for about 9 months. And these Chinese batteries tend to sort of deteriorate when they're sitting in hot cars. So this one, I'll actually try and make a point of using it before the battery deteriorates from sitting in a hot car, so that I actually get some use out of it. Unfortunately, like what happens a lot of times, I didn't find any money, or what really happens most of the time is I find some unopened beers, and there was none of those. Last time I found an unopened beer in the fork of a tree, would you believe it? Things people get up to when they're drunk. Anyway, didn't get any of that this time, but I did get another torch. It's a funny looking torch too. I think it's a keyring torch. I'll just whip the car open here. That's it there. 2 LEDs with sort of like a magnifier thing on it, on the lens at the front. And yeah. I even found a 2-cent coin. These have been out of circulation for years, and there was one here under just a little bit of dirt covering it. Alrighty, well, our hot water system's not going too bad at all. what I was doing, I've got a bit of creosote. In case you didn't realise, this is actually inside an old brick fireplace that my uncle had. The same one that I sort of concreted in the base of after digging all the ash out and got the wood stove here. But we have this little trouble. Bit of creosote seems to fall down because of the way the chimney is set up with a wood stove. It doesn't just sort of go straight out. It's sort of only, that pipe there on it is only a few feet tall, probably about 5 foot tall or something. But anyway, to avoid getting any creosote in the water, I got this old thing which I'd, for some reason, like a lot of old things around here, kept it and cleaned it up, and that acts to keep the creosote from getting in the pot. And what I've been realising is I was just getting this to just the point of simmering. Well, if you leave it a bit, you get it so it's simmering so wildly, it's almost getting to the point of boiling. Not quite boiling because I don't know if it's quite got the BTUs, but it's a pretty flaming wild simmer. Let's put it like that. And if you pour it in like that, as opposed to, oh, it's just starting to simmer and now I'll pour it in, but you actually leave it that extra 3 or 4 minutes and she really gets rolling, your shower will be dramatically warmer. And I basically fill up 2 of these pots. And yeah, get a good shower out of it. And with these warmer days that we've been getting, I'm getting some fantastically warm showers. You know, they've been great, so couldn't be more pleased. I realise there's a bit of a black mark coming up on the bottom of the pot. You see these here, actually threaded. I don't know if you can see that, but they're threaded, and these are adjustable Venturi vents, unlike the ones that come with most stoves. You can adjust these, and this middle one, that one runs the centre one, was wound in too much, so I wound it out, and I'm not sure, but I think that should have solved the problem of it leaving smoke stains on the bottom of the top, on the bottom of the pot, because of the too rich a fuel air mixture. So yeah. But it's working like a charm, and I know I do have to get serious and get a real hot water system, but we can work that out when I get a job. But anyway, I've still got to disassemble this whole circus of bloomin', I mean, look at it, it's on a bloomin' tank stand, you know, and I've got my little tank thingy up there, and the coal. Some of you have seen this with a better camera and reasonable light, and you know what it all is, but there's a lot of stuff to disassemble here. In a few weeks' time, I don't know exactly when, I should be getting the wood stove that's got the oven and the hot water system built in. And in order to fit that in, I'm probably going to have to move all this out and, yeah, maybe readjust a little solar system there and a few other bits and pieces. But all this has got to go and make way for the wood stove and whatnot. I don't know exactly how the hot water tanks are going to work out. I might actually keep some of these beams to be able to mount the hot water tank up reasonably high. I don't really know how high it's mounted up, or if it really even needs to be, considering we're feeding it from an overhead tank. It might only need to be slightly higher than the stove itself. But I also have been cutting a bit of wood and tend to have a rather over supply of wood. We're really going to be battling to fit all the wood in that we've cut that's already dead wood. And I could sort of do with a little bit more floor space to put said wood, to keep it in a nice dry area, not in some area that's likely to get rain on it, or some stupid idea like shove it under a truck or something like that. I've also been having a few issues with my furry friends, so to speak, so yeah, back out with the bait, and I didn't know why they weren't eating it. I find that they have found other sources of food, and yeah, that could explain a few things, and so now I've sorted that problem out and left them with a bit of this, then a bit of another brand that is like blue ones instead that come in a little paper packet, and they sort of haven't been very interested in sort of eating through the packet. So I got one stuck here behind the cupboards, you can probably see there. So I thought that maybe if I tear the packets open, then they've got no excuse not to eat it. And the real reason they'll have no excuse not to eat it is because I got rid of their other food source. So, yeah, that was a bit of a disgraceful find, but at least it's going to make it easier to take the bait as opposed to take the other food source, and hopefully stop running through my ceiling late at night. I've sort of been on top of the problem for quite a while now, and yeah, it's only flared up again recently with this latest little debacle. But anyway, I think I now have my thumb on it again, and we'll find out if there's no more midnight ceiling dances in another couple of weeks.